Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the Game Vault. I'm Captain Beefy. We're going to talk about the top 5 games, in my opinion, for 2023 so far. It's been a banger of a year. I've played a lot of great games this year, and I want to tell you, or share with you, the 5 that I enjoyed most. So let's cue up the music, and we'll get right to it. In 5th place is Hogwarts Legacy. This game came out back in February. I think it was February 10th. And it arrived in a firestorm of controversy as the trans community was calling everybody who bought it or pre-ordered it a bigot and boycotting it and all this other nonsense. To be honest, this game was not on my radar whatsoever. I was never a big Harry Potter fan. I'm older, so by the time Harry Potter became a thing, I was well past being in the stage where I would watch that and enjoy that so much. Now, things have changed through the years. I ended up picking up the series on Blu-ray and watching it, and it's entertaining. You know, it's definitely entertaining, and I can see how kids would love it and how it would mean so much to, you know, youngsters growing up and seeing this cool story about a young boy who became very powerful after being raised by, you know, wicked step-parents, so forth and so on. And, so it was a great story, great series of films, and the game itself was a lot of fun. So I ended up picking it up because I was like, what's all the fuss about, first off? So I heard it, I have a soft spot for open-world games. And I was like, well, it's an open-world game, looks kind of cool. There's a lot of customization in it as far as how you can build your character, the spells you can learn, the clothing you can wear. You can make yourself look cool. You can totally customize your character. So I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I pre-ordered it. I got a couple days early access to it, and I played through and beat the entire game. And it was a lot of fun. The story itself was okay. It wasn't bad. The voice acting was great. The character animation was fair. Wasn't the worst I've ever seen, but it definitely wasn't as top-notch as some stuff is these days that you see released. I enjoyed the combat. It had a very light Souls-like feel to it, where with the dodging and so forth. Dodge, cast, so that sort of thing. It was a lot of fun. The ability to put different groups of spells together and create combos was sweet. There was a lot of side content. A lot of it was busy work. Some of it was fun and rewarding, like, breeding animals, and it was kind of cool. But again, as far as open world game goes, Warner Brothers, you did a great job. This was the first game in what is probably going to be a franchise, and I hope they continue with this and learn from feedback from the fans as far as what was so good and what was so bad about the game, because it was definitely a mixed bag. Not a bad game whatsoever, but by the end of it, I was a little worn out, and I was like, okay, are we done with this story yet? And all right, I got to get one more Merlin thing. Okay, got to do this. I beat the game completely. I'm at like 96% in trophies. I got a couple more silly little trophies to get, and of course, it's on a back burner right now that I'll probably never pick it up again to finish those trophies. Although I would like to. Maybe I'll take a week off one day and just try to clean up some trophies on some of these games that I have not yet done that with. But yep, so that comes in at number 5 on my list. Number 4 is the remake Dead Space. This one came out back in, I think it was January, the end of January roughly. It was 27th or so, right around there. Now, Dead Space is a game, I love the original, and I love the sequel to the original, Dead Space 2. Dead Space 3 was okay. I had high hopes for this. When the Callisto Protocol came out late in 2022, I picked that up, hoping it would be, they were calling it the spiritual successor to Dead Space, and it shared a lot of the common DNA. As you all know, the same guy developed both games, but it definitely didn't scratch that itch. It tried really hard, and some wonky mechanics and all that made it less than appealing to me. But Dead Space remake, that came out of the gate swinging, and the game was an absolute blast. I loved it from start to finish. I played through the story, then I went, turned around and started New Game Plus and played through it a second time back to back. Usually I'll wait at least a few days, but I think I finished the story and was like, okay, New Game Plus is available. Click, let's go. Graphically, the game was stellar. I mean, if you want to compare it to Callisto Protocol, it didn't have the photorealism of Callisto Protocol, but graphically it was great. This was not a game that was just rebooted, or not rebooted, but it wasn't just a cleanup of the old game. This was a new game built from the ground up. The sound design, the visual design of the Ishimura was absolutely terrifying. The necromorphs are great. Voice acting was fantastic. I'm glad they kept the same voice actor to play Isaac Clarke that played him in Dead Space 2 and 3. There were some changes. They added some side missions. They added a voice to the protagonist in this game. In the original, Isaac Clarke did not have a voice, so that was a welcome change. But overall, I love this game, and I will play this game again. As soon as they announce Dead Space 2, and it comes up to where it's going to be releasing in a month, I will sit down and play this game from start to finish again, probably in 2 nights. That's how much fun it is. The game doesn't overstay its welcome. I think it was 15 hours roughly, somewhere around there, 12, 15 hours. I did everything you can in it. I beat it. I did all the side quests and all that, and just had an absolute blast. The way the weapons are designed, they tweaked some of the old ones that were pretty crappy, like the flamethrower, for instance, and made it better. They took the major thing everybody hated in the original game was the asteroid part of the game, where you have to shoot a bunch of asteroids with this really horrible gun, and they took that out and changed it. They didn't just cut it, they changed it and made it into something that was actually entertaining. So, yeah. Dead Space comes in at number 4. And let me tell you, that's not saying that there's... Yeah, it's just... Yeah, I love the game. Now, coming in at number 3 is another remake, and that is Resident Evil 4 Remake. This one came out... I don't know, what was it? It was in April, I think? And, so, I've been around since the original Resident Evil, loved the games, played through them. I kind of dropped off after 5. I don't think I really messed with 6 at all. 7 got me back in, and I haven't really played through 8 yet. I have it, and I need to play through it. Just there's not enough time in the day, guys. But Resident Evil 4, I was really anticipating this game. It looked great from what we saw as far as gameplay goes, and and again, this isn't just another graphical overhaul or they put in 60 FPS on an old game. No, they rebuilt this game. They took some stuff out, some minor things, which may show up as DLC later on. That's been discussed in the community where people are guessing about that. But I think overall, it's a great homage to the original, and it gives you that original game with modern gameplay feel to it. The ability to parry with a knife was added, which is great. Just the revamping of everything made it feel like a brand new game and not a remake of an old game. The knife fight with Krauser, where before it was a series of QuickTime events, is now an actual knife fight with parrying and dodging, and so a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. Stellar voice acting, great character design. I mean, it is very, very Resident Evil. Resident Evil never went for a photorealistic look to it, but it does it well. And this game just, absolutely loved it. Highly recommend it if you haven't tried it. Next up is the number 2 place. That is Dead Island 2. Welcome to LA, ladies and gentlemen. This game I was looking forward to. Now, this game, it's been out there in development hell for, 12 years, 10 years, somewhere around there. Once the original game launched, and then Riptide came out, which was, I guess, like a little small standalone game. Dead Island 2 was announced, and it went through several different developers and all that before Dambusters finally released it and gave us this absolute masterpiece of a game. And I don't use that word loosely now. I don't ever give a game 10 out of 10. That's just not me. There's always room for improvement. There is with this game as well. If you go into this game wanting what it gives you, you're going to absolutely love it. If you go in looking for this amazing story and all that, no, this isn't that. Dead Island 2 is basically a B-movie horror movie that you play through as a video game character. You get the choice of, I think, 6 different slayers to choose from. You get a multitude of weapons that you can locate, find, buy. You can sell them, you can break them down, you can modify them, you can make them have fire, electricity, acid attacks. It's really, really cool what they've done with this game. Sadly, there's no ice, but maybe that'll be in the upcoming DLC. But yeah, overall, an absolute blast. Great campaign, very simple story, straightforward to the point. Voice acting is on point. The character design's great. Where this game really shines. Now, the combat's fun. A lot of people are like, you just have to push one button over and over. Well, maybe that's how you play it, but I don't know. I mix it up quite a bit. I do some ground pounding, some kicking, some dodging. Yeah, there's a lot of melee and all that, and there's shooting too. There's guns in the game. But overall, man, I don't get the hate for the game when people say that kind of thing, because it absolutely is not just standing in one place and hitting, the X button over and over again. That's silly. If that's how you're playing it, then, well, maybe mix things up a little bit. Try some new weapons. Try mixing up your skill cards and all that, and see where that gets you. So I enjoyed the combat. What I really enjoyed, and this is a reflection of me personally, but I enjoyed the gore system they introduced. Or I think they called it Flesh. I don't remember what that acronym stands for. But when you attack a zombie and you hit that zombie, you actually see what you did to it. It's not like most games where it's like, there's a little splash of blood, and maybe there's a red stain on the enemy, or, little things like that, or you cut off an arm or whatever. No. In this game, you tear these guys to pieces. If you throw acid on them, you watch their clothing melt away, their skin melt away down to the muscle until all that's left is a skeleton that is coated with red gore. And it's horrifying and fantastic at the same time. You can break bones, you can dismember people, cut their heads off. You can sit there with a set of brass knuckles and beat a dead body until you can beat the skin off the body, the muscle, and then all of a sudden you're punching the ribs and cracking and breaking ribs. It's wild. It's absolutely wild and disgusting. So, highly recommend it. I love Dead Island 2. Now, my number one game, Diablo 4. Now, this is the newest game on the list. Just came out. I started playing a month ago, actually, the beginning of June 1st. I had early access to it. Again, just like Dead Space, I was a long-time Diablo player. Played since the very first game in the 90s and watched this game evolve through the years with Diablo 2 and then 3. I skipped Immortal, but now that 4's out, I jumped on board. I did try it out in the preseason to beta launch, not the very first weekend, but the second one. And then I did the server slam to give it a try, just to get a feel for it, because I'll be honest, I haven't played an ARPG in a few years, and I wasn't sure if this is something I would still enjoy like I used to. And playing the beta and all that, I'm going to be honest, I was like, ooh, maybe I'm not going to get this, maybe I'm going to skip this one and get it later down the road. But I stuck by it, I watched and, I kept watching videos on it and listening to the developers and what they were saying. And finally I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm going for it. I enjoyed these older games for so many years. Why would it be any different? Yeah, just because I haven't played for a while doesn't mean I'm not going to like it. If I haven't had a lobster in 2 years, it doesn't mean I'm going to suddenly not like it, right? So I have zero regrets buying this game. It has instantly jumped to the top of my list as far as favorite game of the year. I've beaten the whole story. I've played as all 5 characters. I've played solo. I've played co-op. I've farmed Nightmare Dungeons. I've done all the Tree of Whispers things, Fault World bosses, Legion events, Hell Tides. I have broken down equipment, built equipment, re-rolled equipment, anything and everything you can do in the game, I've done. Now, my highest level character just hit 78, so I'm working on the real endgame grind. I hear after level 80 it gets really, really challenging to keep moving forward, because any benefits you get are incremental. Whereas you might, you're like, oh, now I get 5 more armor instead of, a big upgrade, like when you hit level 70 and get to World Tier 4, or level 50 and get to World Tier 3, you get these big spikes. So I hear that kind of smooths out a little bit. There's rumors of a World Tier 5 waiting to be released out there. We'll see. And there's also Season 1 coming up in probably 2 to 3 weeks, I would guess, where you know, the game's going to have seasons every 3 months. We're going to have 3 months to create a new character for the season and try some new mechanics out. I think they're introducing new storylines for these seasons, so that I'm really looking forward to. I think there's a lot of legs under this game, and it's going to have longevity. It's going to be around for 10 years probably. We're going to still be making videos and watching videos and discussing the new season and the new cosmetics that came out with it, or the awesome new ability that you got. I have that feeling. I could be wrong. I'm not always right. I just think I am. But in any case, that is my top 5 games for 2023. I know there's a lot on this list that there's a lot of games missing from this list that should be there, and it's not because they're not good games. It's because I didn't play them, you know. Tears of the Kingdom. I don't have a Switch. Can't play it. I never got Jedi Survivor because I was so busy with everything else. Final Fantasy 16. You know, these are games that I would definitely be interested in trying out, and I'm sure if I played them, they'd be on this list, but I haven't played them. So tell me down in the comments what your top 5 favorite games are this year so far. I think 2023 has a lot more in store for us in the next 6 months. At the end of the year, we're going to do a top 10 and see where these guys stand at the end of the year. Thanks for dropping by, everybody. I'm Captain Beefy. This is the Game Vault. If you haven't done so, please leave a like on the video down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. Do these videos daily. I'm going to be doing live streams weekly, a couple times a week here and on Kick coming up, and I'll give you guys an update on when that starts. So I'll see you next time. Until then, peace.